YouTube, Jubilee, Ken 25, liberal, college students, smart, one conservative. Conservative, let's get it, bro.
Do you think men can give birth?
I think that...
yes or no question?
I think that a person who is assigned male at birth, I don't think they
assigned male at birth, so people are not male at birth?
I think that a person...
See, your evidence that college is a scam, my friend.
So what do you say in some cases, women with IUDs are murderers?
Of course not, they're not murderers.
So what's the difference between an IUD killing a conceived zygote and like a mother going to Planned Parenthood and killing the fetus in her womb?
That was actually the best point somebody made.
It's not about the cells.
No,
it's not about... No, I'm speaking.
No,
I'm speaking.
No, I'm speaking.
No, I'm speaking. No, I'm speaking. No, I'm speaking.
Want to say one more time?
No, I'm speaking.
Hello, everyone. I am Charlie Kirk, founder of Turning Point USA, and I am surrounded by 20 woke college kids. My first prompt is, abortion is murder and should be illegal. All right.
Can I maybe go?
Okay, hello, what's your name?
Juliana.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet
Can
you.
we get our terms right first?
Yeah.
Okay, abortion is the forcible ending of the viability of a being in utero, otherwise known as a fetus. Do we agree that's what abortion is?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, great. And then murder is the intentional taking of life, different than killing or sudden death. So murder would be the intent, with intent, taking another life. Do we agree with that?
Okay.
Okay, and then we agree that murder in general in society should be illegal.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
So yeah, no, I do want to preface that I'm a Catholic.
Okay.
So I think one really important thing that the Bible says is to not judge. And just going back to the topic, I think there's a big difference between, cells in utero than a living, breathing, existing being. And while I do believe it's murder, and that's just my personal belief, right? I don't believe in telling people what to do with their bodies. That's not up to me, and it's not up to us as well as Christians to judge.
Should we prevent murder in society?
For sure, yeah.
Then it should be illegal.
But I think that it's really different, right? Because, these people aren't...
Sorry, nice to meet you.
Okay, nice to meet you.
Shit. Let's go to system. Stupid.
Okay, what's your name?
Naima.
Nice to meet you.
Okay, can I just ask, at how many weeks do you think that a fetus is viable?
Well, viability and moral worth are two different things.
No, but I'm asking you, at how many weeks do you think a fetus is viable?
Well, at about 20 weeks, a baby can survive outside of utero.
So it's actually 24 to 26
weeks?
weeks?
Well, it's 20. The youngest ever in a NICU unit actually happened in San Diego, not far from here, and survived at 20 weeks.
Okay, so under Roe v. Wade, 93% of abortions happened in the first 13 weeks of pregnancy. That's 93% of the abortions happened well before a fetus is technically viable as a form of life.
So let's go into viability. So what is it about, let's say, a 6-week baby that has a heartbeat, its own DNA, fingerprint, brain waves, that is less moral worth than an 88-year-old right now with dementia in a home down the street? That person requires assistance, requires help. Why is it that the 6-week baby is of less moral worth?
Well, first of all, it's not a baby, it's a fetus.
Well, what does fetus mean?
A fetus is in utero.
What does fetus mean in Latin?
What the f***? I'm sorry, is this
It means little human being.
Ooh, his smile is very creepy. Okay.
Smiling is creepy?
No, your smile specifically.
Got it.
But let's go back to, we're losing track here.
No, but what species is the fetus?
The fetus is not a species yet. It's technically classified as a parasite until it is viable.
So,
now, I want to talk to you about something very quickly.
I can't let you get past that. Are you saying a baby is a disease or a tumor?
A parasite is not a disease and a tumor. Those are not the same thing. A parasite is defined as something that cannot survive outside of its host. A baby, before it is viable, cannot survive outside of a woman's womb.
Got it. So let's extrapolate that.
It is not a living organism.
Are old people with Alzheimer's and dementia that are being assisted every day, are they parasites?
No, they're not parasites. They're human beings who are on the brink of death.
Got it. So they're not going to be able to survive. My 4-month-old that requires mom's breast milk and requires daily changes and feedings cannot survive without its own. Is my 4-month-old a parasite?
Your baby can breathe on its own. Your baby can drink water from its mouth to its stomach.
But it cannot.
Your baby can
it hunt?
food.
Can it gather? Can it reason?
But that's not what qualifies something as being a living organism. Being a living organism simply means, can you survive outside of a womb outside of your host.
Got it. So I just want to make sure I'm clear. Why does that then equate to moral viability?
It equates to scientific viability.
Why? Under what standard?
Because it is not alive, and you are advocating for the rights of something that is not technically a life.
Got it. So what is something
while
that has
sacrificing the needs of the human woman who is alive.
Got it. So, but a mom can survive
Yes.
without the baby in her, right?
Yes.
The baby cannot survive without the mom.
Yes.
But a mom cannot survive without her lungs. So it's not her body, it's in her body. It's not her
I
DNA,
know.
so it's not her choice. So it's
It actually is directly her DNA.
It
is 100%. It's 50% of her DNA.
half her DNA. He's gonna win, I'm telling you. This could take a while.
Okay, first of all,
Do we have our terms correct? We agree?
Actually, no. So first of
Okay,
all,
got
I
it.
would like to refine our terms. I
Got
have
it.
2 points to bring up after that, though. So you define murder as like intentionally like killing a human being.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a very poor way to define murder, because if someone were to like break into my home and point a gun at the heads of me and everybody I love, and I intentionally kill them to prevent them from killing my family, I don't think I murdered them, right? So I would define murder as the unjustified termination of a human life.
You're making a good point. Let me further clarify that. So self-defense is very warranted.
Exactly, right?
But I can see where you're going to go with how that has to go with abortion, but we can go down that journey in a second.
Yeah, so I mean, like, I kind of do want to give you my argument insofar as why I'm pro-choice, why I think it's justified. But first, I think that, your position is quite absurd, right? Because you're saying that it is murder to kill a human being, right, at any point in development, especially when it's in the mother's womb. My question to you would be, well, does this make women with IUDs murderers? Because it is the case that in some scenarios, an IUD will allow for conception to occur, meaning there's a unique human life there, but it will prevent its implantation, intentionally killing it.
Well, no, preventing implantation is not necessarily the same thing as terminating a fertilized egg. For example, if you take Plan B, again, it's not the same thing. Preventing the production of progesterone is not the same thing as terminating a being that has been fertilized. You do not know for a fact that the egg has been fertilized. You do not know that when you have an IUD.
Okay, yeah,
Do you?
so preventing a fertilization or implantation to the uterine lining is killing a conceived zygote. So what happens? A sperm goes into the egg, right? The egg becomes fertilized, it's a conceived zygote. In some cases, it will prevent the implantation of the conceived zygote, killing the conceived zygote.
In some cases, correct.
So what do you say in some cases, women with IUDs are murderers?
Of course not, they're not murderers. We do not know for a case. That's like saying that
So
everyone
what's
that
the
takes-
difference between an IUD killing a conceived zygote and like a mother going to Planned Parenthood and killing the fetus in her womb?
Well, so you're asking two separate things. If they knew for certain, to be more clear, that I have a fertilized egg and I'm going to take a drug to prevent that fertilized egg from attaching to their uterine wall, then yes, that is an act of killing or murder, of course.
Okay, so
But-
do you
but
think
you
all
do-
murderers should go to jail?
Do I think all murderers should go to jail? I mean, on third degree murder. However, no, I don't think women that got abortions or had IUDs should go to jail, because I think that they have been deceived by mass culture and mass propaganda. Secondly, the people who should go to jail are the abortionists, who are the ones that have been putting the abortion pill, the ones that have been doing procedures, the ones that have been going into the third trimester and breaking babies' backs and inserting them with syringes while the babies are crying and suffocating, being born alive, and then being dead on the operating table. That is who should go to jail.
Oh,
That was actually the best point somebody made.
we'll have to talk about
I know.
that.
Okay, whenever I'm talking about this discussion, I always go to the question of what about in the case of the mother when her life is in danger? Because I'm a big believer. I don't know. I'm still iffy on if I think it's or if it's murder or not. But even so, I mean, I don't want to say murder is justified. Guys, wait. Let me just get this one point, and then you can vote me out. Give me 1 second. Say the mother gets pregnant, and she knows that if she gives birth, she's going to die. She has some kind of health complication. Then what do you do in that
Cesarean
case?
section.
I don't know what that means.
It's a C-section. They do
cesarean
an
section.
insert.
Guys, wait, hold on. Just give me one second.
They go right below the belly button and they deliver the baby, and therefore she doesn't have to give birth. It's technically birth, but it's much safer. So that's actually safer than an abortion procedure. Sorry, Lily. Hello, how are you?
Hi.
What's your name?
Deedon.
Nice to meet
you. I would say with abortion, I think it's very complicated, but I think the issue that I have primarily with your stance of being pro-life, that there's no nuance. There's women who are being forced to travel hundreds of miles to access abortion care, even in cases of rape in certain states that they're not giving any sort of allowance for that. And I think, a lot of people who are pro-life, they say that they're pro-life, but I feel like they're really pro-birth because with firearms, the United States has some of the highest firearm deaths out of OECD nations, right? And we can acknowledge that that's for children who are actually living and breathing. So I feel like abortion, while it is, I can definitely see your point. I just think that it should be allowed in some circumstances.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. I'm happy to get into the gun violence stuff later, but I want to really stay focused on abortion.
Right.
You can say you see my point. Can you see the world also where, since we know it's a human life, that it should be illegal since we don't allow murder in our society?
Well, that's where I have an issue because abortion is not being done willy-nilly. It's like the life of the mother is always.
How many abortions do you think we have every day in America? Just guess.
I'm not sure.
Guess.
I'm honestly not sure. Maybe, I don't know, 1,000?
4,000 a day. So it is kind of willy-nilly. We have 1.6. Sorry. Hello.
Hi. I just want to clarify, the thing that you're aiming for is less abortion, right? That would be what you would want, or at least no abortion?
Eventually. It's also a protection of those that can't protect themselves. But yes, and that's why after the reversal of Roe versus Wade, we saw abortions go down dramatically in Texas, Alabama, Mississippi. We saw thousands of babies that are now alive and well that are able to have amazing lives thanks to the reversal of Roe versus Wade.
I don't think a lot of that is true.
Well, it is, but
it's not true because when you make abortion illegal, it doesn't actually decrease the amount of abortions that happen.
That's a nice talking point. In Texas, the numbers show differently. The birth rate has gone up.
Yeah, legal goes down, but illegal abortions still happen. Abortions still happen outside of whatever data you're showing.
That's not true, but let's just say, well, if you
40?
If you want to, well, first of all, if you count the abortion pill, you're right, but that's a separate thing than a chemical abortion and surgical abortion are different things. And I'm not debating you, I'm debating her. So if you want to do the flags and come back in, try and be faster next time. So let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
So the question is, we should try to limit unjust suffering of human beings, right?
Sure.
Okay, that's my position, is that there's unjust suffering of anywhere between 1.4 to 1.6 million abortions a year of human beings that are being massacred in the womb. And so that's not a women's rights issue, that's not a men's rights issue, that's just a human rights issue.
Okay, the best way to decrease abortions happening is proper sex education. Limiting abortion and making abortion illegal does not actually decrease the amount of abortions that happen.
So what is your evidence of that?
What is my evidence of that?
Because we have increased sex education in the last 30 years.
Our sex education is so bad in America.
Well, by bad, what do you mean by that? We have more access to birth control for young kids. We have more kids that are learning to use birth control at a younger age. We have more of that in our public school system. And we've seen all the trends actually go in a negative direction. So in fact, we see that the more sex education there is, the more disturbing those trends are. So you say that, let me ask just one more thing. Mm-hmm. You say that if we make abortion illegal, people will still do it. Should we then just make gang violence legal because
No, I'm saying if you actually wanted to decrease the amount of abortions that happen, you wouldn't be advocating for to make abortion illegal. You'd be advocating for all of these other things.
Does that logic apply to stealing, looting, kidnapping, arson, and murder?
Well, actually it does, because those are results of different societal issues that you should be educating yourself on rather than making it illegal on the front.
Should we make kidnapping, arson, burglary, murder legal because they're symptoms of something else?
We should be helping
arson, burglary, murder legal because they're symptoms of something else?
We should be helping society heal from those things.
You got to answer the question. We want less of those things. Should we just make them legal and we'll get less looting?
Actually, I'm gonna let someone else
Thank you very much. Hi, Parker. Nice to meet you. Yes.
Nice to meet you, Charlie.
Big TikTok guy here.
So, pedophiles, people who were married to children in the past and normalized in that society, should they go to prison?
Should pedophiles?
If you could go back in time, would you put those pedophiles in prison that married those children because it was normalized? They were deceived into thinking it's okay. Would you put them in prison?
You got to slow down.
Sorry.
Pedophiles should get the death penalty.
No, so you'd go back in the past, you'd give them the death penalty, even though they were deceived into thinking it was okay. But you said people who get abortions who are women shouldn't go to prison.
But it's not currently illegal.
Okay, regardless.
Pedophilia
at that time, it wasn't.
No, I would not go back and retroactively enforce laws where things were currently not illegal.
You wouldn't put pedophiles in prison in the past.
Hold on a second. When was it illegal? When was it legal in America?
Well, child marriage was legal in America throughout the early 1900s, and especially throughout most of society for thousands of years, especially in the Old Testament and in the Bible.
Hold on a second. So where is the Levitical law that allows you to marry a child?
Oh, yeah.
Can you name the verse?
Well, I can't name the verse, but the particular conditions that are enlisted in the Bible are that you have to be physical maturity and emotional maturity, which is extremely vague and throughout society has been seen to be met at puberty.
There is not a verse, but let's kind of go back.
Okay, so when is the age of consent
abortion.
under your view?
Let's go back to, generally agreed upon it's 18 years old. But let me ask you
because you don't go based upon what's generally agreed, you go based on the Bible.
I say 18 years old, but let me ask you a question.
Where's that in the Bible?
When does life begin?
Conception.
Like conception, great. So good. So should we protect all life at conception?
I care about sentient life, not cellular life.
So when do brainwaves start?
Do you think brain dead people should be able to pull the plug on, like a family should be able to pull the plug on an individual in the family that's brain dead?
You got to answer the question. When do brainwaves start?
You can see brainwaves around 6 to 8 weeks, which in brain dead individual there are brainwaves as well. So the brainwaves necessary to produce a subjective experience are met until around 18 through 26 weeks in the womb.
Can you see it from my perspective that at 6 to 8 weeks those brainwaves will actually increase, not decrease, if allowed the process of development to continue?
Did you know those same EEG scans exist in brain dead people that you don't think are sentient?
But the difference with the brain dead people is that the likelihood of those brain waves actually increasing is very low at 6 to 8 weeks, when by 15 weeks they can hear the mom's
impossible.
Voice.
It's irreversible sensation. That's what brain death is. I didn't know that.
But no,
it's not coma.
But you're doing a red herring. Go back to
it's not. What's a red herring?
A red herring is where you avoid the topic and you say something that is adjacent or symmetrical to what I'm saying, but not actually I'm saying.
You mean a reductio ad absurdum? That's not a red herring.
A 6 to 8 week baby, if they're allowed to continue,
that's not a red
adjacent or symmetrical to what I'm saying, but not actually I'm saying.
You mean a reductio ad absurdum? That's not a red herring.
A 6 to 8 week baby, if they're allowed to continue to develop, what ends up happening?
At a certain point, it will become a sentient being in the future. The same way that if I keep engaging in sex with my girlfriend, there'll be a baby in the future. Yet I don't care about the sperm.
Unless you're infertile, which we don't know. But let's see the process of development, right? Why
do you want to answer my question yet?
Why do you have the ability or the right?
Should those child P3os go to prison?
The process of
should the pedophiles go to prison?
From 1904. How many pedophiles are alive from 1904?
They're not alive, right? I meant like if you can go back in the past, hypothetically speaking, and you could put them in prison, would you put them in prison?
I would have killed them myself if I was alive.
Okay, so then you don't apply it based upon what people are deceived to believe. You apply it based upon what you consider to be moral. So the women who had abortions, you think they should go to prison. So why should women who get abortions go to prison, but someone like my mom who told me that Santa Claus exists shouldn't go to prison because they're both sent?
This is not going to be a constructive debate if you keep on talking over me.
Well, I was finishing my statement. You were talking over me. But go for it.
Let me ask you a very simple question. Do you think it would be a good thing if we had less abortions in America?
It depends on the context. Like, are the abortions prior to sentience?
Yes,
because I think
all abortions.
No, it would not be necessarily better unless it is the case
abortion?
that the people didn't want the abortions and it would be negatively impactful to their health medically speaking.
Are you against late-term abortion?
After sentience, yes.
Okay, so you believe in an 8-week abortion ban?
Yeah. No, I don't. Sorry, I believe in an abortion ban after 18 through 26 weeks.
Okay, that's a more reasonable position. I have to give you credit for that.
It's similar to Trump's. 15 weeks?
Yeah, so why do you think that most people don't share your view on that?
Well, people just don't really know what sentience is. There's not a lot of conversation about abortion. And these conversations are very difficult. Like, they're conceptually hard to go through. And I understand why a lot of people don't understand their positions on it.
So
but I think people
you are where most
You're cutting
Americans
me off. I thought we weren't cutting people off.
I was actually complimenting you. How are you? Nice to see you.
So I just have one question. There's, like, in any case, you don't think there's any case where abortion should be legal?
There's a very, very rare couple cases.
Okay, so you do think that a couple cases it is legal?
If cesarean section is not going to save the mother's life, and the mother's life is actually at risk, which is debated amongst growing numbers of OBGYNs, that is the only case where abortion should be allowed.
Do you think there should...
But people say that it is a growing consensus in the pro-life world that abortion is never medically necessary.
Okay, so if you had a daughter and she was 10 and she got raped, and she was going to give birth and she would and she was going to give birth and she was going to live, would you want her to go through that and carry her baby?
That's awfully graphic.
But it's a real life scenario that happens to many people.
The answer is yes, the baby would be delivered.
Oh, okay, great. So that's insane.
But let me tell you why. No, hold on. Let me ask you a question. There's 2 ultrasounds I have. One is a baby conceived in. One is a baby conceived by a loving couple. Which one is which?
Your daughter was hopefully conceived by a somewhat loving couple.
Tell me which one was conceived by.
You don't know.
Exactly, because it's all human rights and it's
all
human beings.
But that doesn't matter. But it's about your daughter who has to give birth to it and is going to be tortured by that for the rest of her life. That's going to take away every freedom she's ever going to have. That's going to ruin her life. She's going to grow up and she's going to be attached to another thing.
The point is how you were conceived is irrelevant to what human rights you get.
But
hold on one second. If a person conceived in walks down the side of the street, it's not like they don't get First Amendment rights or Second Amendment rights.
It's not about that person.
The worst thing to do to the daughter is to then say, hey, we're going to go murder the being inside of you.
They wouldn't even know. Like, listen.
They wouldn't know?
Listen.
But wouldn't it be a better story to say something evil happened and we do something good in the face of evil instead of saying we're going to do evil and then murder the being because we're going to pander to the evil? No. What makes the West great is that we do good after evil, not evil after evil.
It's not about the being in the cells.
No,
it's not about. No. I'm speaking. No, I'm speaking.
We're both,
no, I'm speaking.
We're both
No, I'm speaking. No, I'm speaking. No, I'm speaking. No, I'm speaking. No, I'm speaking.
Want to say one more time?
No, I'm speaking.
Got it.
Thank you. So it's not. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the person. No. I'm talking about the person who is dealing with the pregnancy. I am not talking about the cells. I don't care. No, listen. The fetus, the whatever. I don't care about that right now until it is formed. If there is a 5-year-old child who is pregnant and the baby is 2 weeks in utero,
can't get pregnant.
Actually they have given birth.
There is pregnant.
There is one recorded case of a 5-year-old girl who gave birth.
Is that common?
Yes, it's common. 5-year-olds get sometimes, and if they get pregnant, I think they should be able to have medical access to something that could save not only just their life, but like their livelihood.
How many, I'm curious.
I hope your daughter lives a very...
So pregnancy at 5 years old is possible. But he had made a statement to where it was like, where something was rare, and he brought it up as an argument. So he shouldn't be like negating her argument. Yes.
Very happy life and gets away from you.
Okay, so that is really nasty, and so her belief system, just so we're clear, is that. Yeah, no, I got it. It's fine. I mean, it's insanely nasty, and we'll talk again. My next claim is that college is a scam. Hello.
Hello.
What's your name?
I'm Maddox. How are you doing?
Nice to meet you. Good.
So, college is a scam.
Well, let's define our terms. College being traditional four-year college.
Of course.
University, not community college or technical college.
Of course.
A scam, if we can agree on a definition, is where a majority of people who will go through the institution or business, they're not getting their money's worth, their time's worth, and they're being deceived when they sign up. So do we agree on those terms?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
Well, what would further definitions, what do you think is the purpose of going to college?
The purpose of college should be a traditional liberal arts education, the pursuit of what is good, true, and beautiful. Okay. That's not what it is. It should be the betterment of yourself and your soul, nurturing your character and becoming a better citizen, understanding the deeper things in life. At the very least, though, it should be preparing one for the job market. Do you think college does those things?
I think it does, but I would add on to your point that I think not only is it for the betterment of yourself, but it's for the betterment of society. We need historians. We need certain majors that may not make as much money. I think those are for the betterment of society. Would you agree that there's some majors that may not make money, but are still essential to society?
It depends. Do you think that getting a degree in gender studies is good for society?
I would agree, yeah. Why would studying gender not be good for society?
Well, learning that men can give birth is not exactly a good use of time, is it?
Is that what they're teaching in college right now?
A lot of colleges, yeah. According to the Center for Disease Control, they no longer say women can give birth, they say birthing persons.
Okay.
Do you think men can give birth?
Do I think men can give birth? I think that...
yes or no question?
I think that a person who is assigned male at birth, I don't think they can give birth.
Assigned male at birth? So people are not male at birth?
I think that a person...
See, your evidence that college is a scam, my friend.
College is a scam?
You're lacking in a lot of wisdom.
Well, here, we can continue right now. So, gender studies, do you think that studying gender is not essential? Should we not deepen our understanding of gender?
I don't think gender... We're going to get there later. I don't think gender exists. I think that there are two sexes, infinite personalities, and no genders. However, let's get back to the core contention.
Well, here, can I ask my question again real quick?
Well, I'm going to get back to my core contention. A scam. So the majority of kids that go to college, if they end up getting a job at all, they end up getting a job that does not require a college degree.
Do you think that certain jobs that may not associate with a direct major can incorporate skills that you learn from a major? I think I'm an econ major, and depending on what job I do in the future, I can still use the skills learned from that.
So tell me about Milton Friedman.
Tell me about Milton Friedman. He is an economist from
How about Thomas Sowell?
Thomas Sowell.
Ludwig von Mises.
Well, I will say that I'm a first year.
How about
I'd love to see you answer the gender studies question.
We will get there later. That's what psychedelics are for. Who's next?
Well, I think it's difficult to think about just one major, thinking about just gender studies. Like, sure, like not everyone should be a gender studies major. We need doctors, we need lawyers, we need everything. However, why does it matter if 10 people want to be a gender studies major and it matters to them? Like, not everyone can be a lawyer, not everyone can be a doctor. There needs to be some people, and you know what? Yeah, it sucks that some people do go to college and get a degree and then they end up not in a workforce for that. But I don't think that has to do with like college was a scam. It's more like maybe that just wasn't the path for them, or that life choice was just too hard to get for them. But some people are able to go to college and get a degree and use it, and that is super important, because imagine if no doctors went to college, they're just like, I think I can do it.
Well, of course, doctors and lawyers need credentialing, right? But
college.
Well, less than 5% of all people that go to college end up studying medicine or in legal. The vast majority go into soft social sciences, communications, or the humanities. So you're in college, or have been, is that correct?
Yeah.
Are you forced to take classes that you think are a waste of time?
Yeah, I'm forced.
Okay, hold on. So that they're taking your money and they're forcing you, that they're a waste of time. That's kind of scammy, right?
Oh, I think that some classes.
Ooh, some. So you have to probably go in debt, right?
Depends.
Okay. Are you going into debt?
No.
Okay, well, that's good.
I picked a school that actually offered me a scholarship.
Oh, so someone else is paying for your college.
Oh, I don't know. Depends on me. I mean, that's a school that wanted to give me an opportunity. But that's not what we're talking about.
Well, we're talking about the scam element, right? So you said that there are some classes that if students had to go into debt or had to pay for, would not be a good use of their time. So it's not representing students well.
Well, do you think like high school is a scam then? Because I had to pay for high school, but I'm not going to use AP US history in my psychology degree ever.
Well, I think AP US history is actually a really good use of time, knowing about your country and your history. And
but I'm not going to use that in my career. That's what we're talking about in the career path for college.
Let's go back to what I said, right? We said traditional college, right? 4-year college. And what a scam is, we're a majority of the people that will go through the enterprise, the business, or the institution are not getting their time worth or their money worth. So therefore, I go back to my core contention, which is a majority of kids that exit college will not use their degree at all when they go to find a job.
But if you ask them, do you think college was a scam? I don't think majority of them are going to say yes. Some of them will. Some of them are going to
not everyone who's being scammed actively knows they're being scammed. People still buy erectile dysfunction drugs off the internet, and they get scammed.
Okay, that's their own personal choice, though.
Of course, people have choices to be scammed. I'm not saying they don't have a choice. I'm making an observation analysis of the institution. For example, flying Spirit Airlines, kind of a scam.
Okay.
Should be shut down. There is some, kind of agree. There are some things in life we have to take a step back and like, the consumer is not being well served.
You want to shut down a bunch of majors in colleges that you think are scams?
No, I never said that.
So what would your proposal be to fix the scam of college?
There is no proposal. The contention is college is a scam.
So then what's the point of that statement?
To get you to agree.
But like, what would that do? Like, what do you want to fix in college that's going to help it not be a scam?
We can get to step interval 2 as long as you can agree that college is a scam.
No, because not for everyone. For me, I'm using a degree that's going to help people make better.
What are you studying?
Psychology and criminal justice.
Okay, so and it's being paid for by somebody else, which is fine. That's good. So psychology and criminal justice. Do you absolutely need to get a degree to be able to get into this? Like you do?
Yeah, I mean, like I could, I guess, study it all on my own, but it's just like makes more sense to go and have all these experiences. I'm getting like wonderful experiences, internships all through my college.
So
that's helping me go through it. No, it's just that this is a pathway that's really helping me.
So there's 11 million jobs open in the country right now that don't require a college degree.
Okay, then the people who want those jobs can go get those jobs. I'm not one of those people.
Do you think we push too many kids into college?
No.
Okay, so the national graduation rate is 59%. If I ask the room, everyone would agree that they know some people that went to college that did not graduate.
Yeah.
Right? So we're probably sending too many kids into this institution.
But if they might have been able to do it, then like, why is it not worth it to try and to push yourself to get a better education and go further in your life?
That's a bad thing, right?
But some people are able to work through that, and it's like an opportunity thing.
But when an institution is multi-trillion dollars in scale, involves 23 million of our citizens every 4 years, and is not actually bettering the country. For example, if college was so great, we would see incomes going up for Gen Z and millennials. We'd see more people able to own homes.
Okay.
Kids wouldn't. I'm telling you. This is so ableist, what you're doing, by the way. I'm telling you, right? Hello, what's your name?
Alize.
Nice to meet you.
Okay, so let me start by saying, well, first of all, you said we're sending too many kids to college. Who's sending them? Who's forcing them?
Guidance counselors, parents, community.
Are they forcing them? Are they signing them up themselves?
Forcing. I never said forcing, but you can have nudging.
Okay.
And forcing are two different things. We also subsidize college through the federal government. So you guys get subsidized interest rates,
right,
scholarships, and loans. So the taxpayer is nudging students and gently and sometimes forcefully pushing them into college. And you would agree it is an expectation if you grow up in a upper middle class home to go to college. You would agree with that. So there's a societal, cultural push.
I didn't grow up in an upper middle class, so.
Okay, well, but would you see it from there? Would you see how that argument is correct?
I guess there might be a pressure, but no one's sending them. You're sending yourself.
Well, of course.
Or we're all over the age of 18, right?
Right.
When you're in college, so you're sending yourself.
Right.
But that's besides the point.
But let's be honest. I mean, that's a silly argument. Yes, they're technically sending themselves. I was just at Arizona State University move-in. Everyone had their parents there. They were co-signing on loans. They were there helping pay for stuff. Parents, the ones that are still checking in. They're the ones that largely subsidize their lifestyle. Hey, mom, can you Venmo me $3,000 so that I can go out on an extra night? Yes, of course, when you're 18 years old, you're the one signing on the dotted line. But there's enormous pressure and nudging and cultural expectation that students go to college.
Right. Okay. I think the problem here is that it's up to the person. You can't just go to college and expect to come out with a degree. You have to put the work in. You have to put the work in. You have to make connections. And some people might think college is just 4 years of partying and drinking and making friends, whatever. But you have to actually put the work in. And if you put the work in, you make connections, and you can find a job right outside of college.
Well, no, not doubting that you can't find a job. It's just that 52% of them get a job that doesn't require them to get the degree.
But most jobs offer incentive pay if you have a degree. And 86% of people with a degree get paid more than people with just a high school diploma.
That's only if you count the ones at the top 10% of income earners. So not if you count humanities, not if you count people that study in the social sciences. If you count medicine or you count law, that's absolutely correct. However, the vast majority of kids that go to college are not studying medicine, law, engineering, business, finance. They're studying communications, social sciences, or humanities, which are on the lower income ladder. So as I mentioned, we have 11 million job openings in this country right now that do not require a college degree. I'm guessing in this room that within 4 to 5 years, you guys would kill to be able to earn $80 to $100,000 a year, yes? Do you know that in states across the country and in cities, they're offering apprenticeships to become plumbers and welders, electricians? That doesn't require for your college degree. Entrance salary, $80,000 a year.
But again, 86% of people with a bachelor's degree.
Entrance salary, bring apprenticeships to become plumbers and welders, electricians. That doesn't require for your college degree. Entrance salary, $80,000 a year.
But again, 86% of people with a bachelor's degree earn more than people with a high school diploma. No, 86% of all people with a bachelor's degree.
But if you take out the top 10%, it's actually lower than those that don't go to college. So the reason that number, that average goes up is because the doctors and the engineers and the lawyers are the ones that bring that average so significantly up. But let me ask you a question. Do you think that there's any waste at all in the current college model?
Do I think there's any waste? I don't think we need all of it.
Okay, good. What part?
Well, you have to start with your core classes. And it's like high school. You're taking the same classes in high school.
So do you think, like, for example, do you think that... It's okay. Nice to meet you. Thank you.
I'm Emily. Nice to meet you.
Emily. Thank you.
Earlier said that about 5% of college students are going into fields of like medicine, law, and engineering,
Let me clarify.
Okay,
yes,
yeah.
As far as they're going to be able to get postgraduate degrees. So they will go all the way up and get their Juris Master, or they will end up passing the bar or becoming a doctor, right?
Okay.
So it's easy to say doctors, lawyers, but healthcare professionals, if you count nurses or people that work in healthcare, that number is closer to 20-25%.
Okay, so 5%. Who here has a doctor? Can you like raise your hand if you have a doctor?
Like a medical
doctor? Yeah. Like a medical doctor. Yeah, you do. Okay. 5% is still a lot of people, right?
Of course, but that means 95% might not need to exist at the institution.
I don't think that's the takeaway. Just because 5%, which is still millions of Americans all across the board.
But if you were to say, hey, we only have medical schools, only have legal, we can get rid of gender studies, get rid of... So what's the contention?
Well, gender studies is actually, if you look on like the pre-law track, gender studies is a pre-law track. If you're going to be a lawyer, you have to study gender studies and other social cultural studies.
That proves my point that college is a scam. Why would a lawyer need to study gender studies? Shouldn't a lawyer know the law?
It's a social science. The law, you think the law isn't inadvertently affected by social, cultural, and gender norms?
Of course it is, but shouldn't they first know the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, the Federalist Papers?
We learned that in high school.
Okay, so what is Marbury versus Madison?
I haven't been in high school for a really long time. I'm not trying to be a lawyer. Yeah.
So
high schools are like, it's public high school.
What was Brown versus the Board of Education?
That's for desegregating schools.
Okay, good.
Yeah, which Project 2025 wants to like defund the Department of Education.
Who wrote the Constitution?
Founding Fathers, 1778. I don't know.
It wasn't 1778.
I don't know.
Close,
Yeah.
You don't know?
No.
Okay. Well, this is the point: is that you don't learn it in high school. You don't even learn it in undergraduate, and our law school is not learning it. So maybe.
Well, I'm not in law school.
No, the point is that you were saying they already learned it, and they don't. I don't want this to be a pop quiz or trivia. I didn't go to college, and I'm asking you very basic civic questions, and you're paying to go to college, and you can't answer them.
That's so fair, but I think.
Thank you. Sorry.
Bruh.
Studies. Shouldn't a lawyer know the law?
It's a social science. The law. You think the law isn't inadvertently affected by social, cultural, and gender norms?
Of course it is, but shouldn't they first know the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, the Federalist Papers?
We learned that in high school.
Okay, so what is Marbury versus Madison?
I haven't been in high school for a really long time. I'm not trying to be a lawyer.
You learned it.
Yeah.
So
high schools are like, it's public high school.
What was Brown versus the Board of Education?
That's for desegregating schools.
Okay, good.
Yeah, which Project 2025 wants to like defund the Department of Education.
Who wrote the Constitution?
Founding Fathers, 1778. I don't know.
It wasn't 1778.
I don't.
16 hours, bro. James Madison, Alexander Hamilton, George Washington, Benjamin Franklin. What is the Constitution?
I don't know. Yeah.
You don't know?
No.
Okay. Well, this is the point: is that you don't learn it in high school. You don't even learn it in undergraduate, and our law school is not learning it. So maybe.
Well, I'm not in law school.
No, the point is that you were saying they already learned it, and they don't. I don't want this to be a pop quiz or trivia. I didn't go to college, and I'm asking you very basic civic questions, and you're paying to go to college, and you can't answer them.
That's so fair, but I think.
Thank you. Sorry.
I have a question. Is church a scam?
No, because church is honoring the divine and the eternal and the good and the true and the beautiful. Is college?
But it.
Church low-key is a scandal.
But it deceives people because you give a promise of.
You got multiple different people teaching different things, and following God should be just like reading the Bible and just doing what's right on an individual level, not like following an organization of people.
Everlasting life, which you don't actually get because Christianity is contradictory, logically speaking.
Do you want to get into a theological debate, or are we going to talk about college? Because I completely disagree. Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior, and we will have eternal life.
Okay, so how, if there is a perfect being that created the world, how could we exist in an imperfect world?
I'm happy to have this discussion. Can we go back to college, though? Because do you think, because that's a little bit of a red herring and a little bit of a rabbit hole, tell me what that has to do with college being a scam.
Well, I do think college can be a scam for certain people. I don't think it's a scam for everyone. We agree. So for people like me, college was very beneficial for me.
For sure. Who is it a scam?
I'm asking you, based upon your definition of a scam, do you consider the Christian church a scam?
Of course not. It's giving people eternal life and teaches them goodness.
But if Christianity is false, then that's a deception. A scam.
Of course not. It's giving people eternal life and
Church isn't giving people eternal life. It's God.
Teaches them goodness.
But if Christianity is false, then that's a deception.
Okay, but you think it's false. I don't. We can agree to disagree. Also,
I'm not agreeing to disagree on that.
But we're not talking about the church. We're talking about college, right? So again, also, people are not paying to go to church, are they?
But it's a reductio ad absurdum. Do you know what that is?
Ask the question.
What's a reductio ad absurdum?
That's a Latin term that means reducing down to the lowest common belief, correct?
Yeah, so I'm taking
Am I right? I didn't go to college. I knew that.
I'm taking your particular position.
Let me ask you a question without you interrupting me. Do you pay to go to church?
No, I don't. Some people do. They're forced to pay based upon their particular denomination.
And today, do you pay to go to church?
Depending on the church.
No, you don't. Do you have to go to debt to go to church?
In some circumstances, people do because they have to give up 10% of their income to be able to do that, which people can't afford.
Circumstance?
Well, they're LDS. You understand that a lot of LDS churches specifically require 10%.
Yeah, they don't require it. And what you're
talking
about
in plenty of places.
Well, you're asking mainline Christian.
Isn't there stigmatization
belief
if you don't do that?
Okay, you're good at interrupting, not good at answering.
Well, you haven't answered any of my questions yet.
I did say no, church is not a scam. Church is the bride of Christ. College is a scam. And college is, people are going into debt. They're paying a lot of money. But I want to ask you a question. You said it's a scam for some people. Who's it a scam for?
Yeah, for people who specifically aren't ever going to use it, never use any of the knowledge that they retain from it. Well, you say 52%. I don't think you can qualify 52% of people don't do that.
What number would you say?
For example, my job, that's not going to be recommended as an economics degree. Most economics majors are going to go into TikTok debating online. But I use the information that I learned in college in my job on a daily basis. So I still use relevant qualities that are then used in my job later on.
What percentage of kids that go to college are being scammed?
I don't think anyone knows that. Because it's dependent upon an individual. I have no clue.
Shouldn't we try to find out?
Well, if you'd like to find some empirics on that, I'd love to see it.
I just did. So 41%.
That's not a source.
Well, the Department of Education is a source.
No, the Department of Education doesn't say 41% of people it was a scam for, or that they didn't use any of the information they learned in college.
You are using.
So are you saying none of them used any of the information?
Can I say 3 words without you interrupting me?
Do any of them use the information later on?
Can I say 5 words without interrupting me?
Well, you've interrupted me multiple times.
So since you say college is a scam for some people, it's a ballpark. For the kids that do not graduate, 41% that ended up going and not graduating, were they scammed?
No, just because you go and pay for a particular thing, but then you don't follow through with it, doesn't mean you were scammed.
Maybe they were
You
misled.
Decided to pay for it. Oh, you could say some people are misled. Some people are stigmatizing to these things.
Do you think that
some people are misled in the church? And you never answered my question on that because you're trying to take that time down so that you don't have to answer the question about Christianity because you know your worldview looks terrible.
Well, what about Christianity do you want me to answer? We're talking
I think
about
it's
college,
false. Or because I was saying, is church a scam? If church is a scam, that'd be predicated off of the idea that you're deceived into believing that there's everlasting life specifically from Christianity. So Christianity has to be true. So can you grant that? What's the argument?
Christianity is true. Did the resurrection?
What's the argument?
You're going to let me finish 3 words in a row?
Appreciate it.
Okay. Did the resurrection happen?
I don't think the resurrection occurred.
Okay, I disagree.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. A perfect creator, is it possible for them to not desire something imperfect?
Is a perfect creator, I'm sorry, what?
There's a perfect creator that desires everything that's just perfect. How can they desire something imperfect, flawed?
Well, because maybe they want to get to know themselves. Maybe they want to see their own creation. Maybe they love
They want to get to know them? He's all-knowing.
Can I finish talking here? Okay, maybe because God loved the world so much that his creation, which rebelled against him, given agency and free will, rebelled against them, then got eternal life, what we actually deserve, and then sent his son on a rescue mission to save us from that. The church is the bride of Christ, will save us from damnation that we deserve. College is far from the bride of America. It's currently scamming the youth of this country and sending them into oblivion.
Didn't answer the question.
I did.
No, you didn't say how they could desire something imperfect.
Well, God can do anything.
We'll talk about that later.
God can do anything, so.
Even something logically contradictory?
No, it's not logically contradictory.
To desire something imperfect.
Can an unstoppable object hit a unmovable force?
Hey, before we go any further, we want to spar that go with their report to be for your new era. Now, let's get into it.
Yeah, my next claim is that trans women are not women.
Best.
Okay. What's your name?
Sam.
Nice to meet you. Let's define our terms. A woman is an adult female with XX chromosomes. You tell me, what is a woman?
I think a woman is somebody who identifies as a woman.
Got it. So that's not a definition. That's like saying a table is something that identifies as a table. Give me an objective definition of
No,
how...
it's not. A table is an object.
Well, tell
a table can't identify as anything. It doesn't have choice.
You have to give me an objective definition of what a woman is.
If I decided right now that I wanted to identify as a woman, I would be a woman.
Okay, but that doesn't answer the question.
I know, but right now I'm a man, right? So if that happened right now, I'd be a woman.
Thing is.
Once a person makes the decision to identify as a woman,
got it. No,
they're a woman.
That's a separate issue. What is a woman?
That's the definition.
No, I know, but you have to tell me what.
A person who identifies themselves as a woman.
But you have how do you know that they are that thing?
How do I don't need to know what they are. I can ask them if I want to know.
But there needs to be, you need to tell me what that thing is, though.
Somebody who... Okay, sorry, we're not getting anywhere. We're not getting anywhere.
Well, no, it's important because it's like saying a giraffe is a thing that looks like a giraffe, or a coyote is a thing that looks like a coyote. It's called circular reasoning. You have to give me a actual definition.
I don't have to... I did give you a definition.
No, you said that a woman is something that thinks they're a woman. That doesn't give me a definition. That's simply...
What would you consider a definition then?
An adult female with XX chromosomes.
No. I mean, like, what makes that a definition?
Hello.
Hi.
Juliana?
Juliana,
I remember,
yeah.
Okay.
I don't necessarily think that you can define a woman just by her chromosomes. Women are so much more than that. They come in a variety of shapes, sizes, colors. And I don't necessarily think that you can count out somebody who's trans just because they don't have a certain set of chromosomes. There are also people who are born, I'm drawing a blank.
Okay. Intersex?
Yes.
So XXY or YYX?
Or just, or like X0 with nothing.
So natural mutations upon the binary, essentially, right?
Yes. So,
but they don't have both sex organs that both operate, right?
Yeah, but that also I don't think necessarily works, right? Because if it's X,
one
just
is more
X,
dominant
and
than
there's
the other. So you're either more male or more female, right? So you might have both a penis and vagina, but there's never been a case of someone who can impregnate themselves.
Okay. I also don't necessarily think that works for this situation, but I also want to say that one of my best friends is trans, and I would say that she's more of a woman than I am. I think that women define themselves by multiple things, not just their sex organs. If somebody asked me who I was as a woman, I would not say I have a vagina.
Totally fair. So no, I think you said something smart. So you said that person is more of a woman than you are. Therefore, you're grading off a definition of something accomplishes womanhood. What is that?
I think well, that's the thing too. And I do think that gets a little complicated, right? Because there are social norms for a gender, but I do think we try to break that, right?
No, for sure. But you said that specific friend is more of a woman than you are. Why?
I think she's a better person than me. I think she lives life.
So women are better people?
She's a better woman than I am. I'm not saying women are better people.
But what makes a woman a woman? Because you said she's more of a woman than you are. So I want to know what that definition is.
Right, okay. I'm going to let somebody else go.
That's all good.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, Parker, what is a woman?
A woman is an adult human person that has a desire to be in accordance with a particular set of social and cultural norms that are typically associated with the female sex. Now, define a man. Define a man.
You're looking at one, XY chromosomes in a
Okay, but does God the Father have XY chromosomes prior to incarnation?
We literally have a religious topic
He's a father and he's him, but he's not a man?
We have a religious
Wait, so a man is someone with XY chromosomes, but he doesn't have XY chromosomes, yet he's still a man and he still uses preferred pronouns?
It's actually very interesting. In the original Hebrew, Adonai, do you know what Adonai is? It's the Hebrew word for God. It's actually genderless, but in the scriptures, they use he, right? And they use the masculine. Jesus Christ came to earth as a man, not as a woman, not as genderqueer. But let's go back to the...
But God the Father's a man, right? Because all fathers are men.
Well, first of all, there's a trinity. So God the Father is neither man nor woman. He is omniscient, omnipotent. He is all being on top of it.
So why do you use he?
Well, I did not. The scriptures do. You could use woman. You could say her. You could use him, but the way that the language is structured, again, it is so, God the Father is so above gender, it is so above any of our understanding.
Then why use
with
him?
Glory and understanding. Again, because you have to make a choice, either he or him or her in the original scriptures. Let's go back to, I'm happy
some
to get into that.
fathers aren't men and boys?
So
some fathers are not men and boys, not men or boys.
I'm sorry.
Some fathers are not male.
No, of course they are. I'm not.
Wait, so God the Father's a male?
Hold on, God the Father. So where do we get God the Father from? What Greek word?
From your scripture.
Well, from Abba, right, which is a very close personal term.
You're not answering my questions, and you're bringing up random language that doesn't matter.
Well, it actually does.
No, it doesn't.
But let me get down to the root of it, because
he's not a man. You know he's not a man under your worldview. Yet you still use his preferred pronouns. You still call him a man.
Christ is a
man.
man.
You don't do that with trans people because you're transphobic. That's why.
Okay, got it. But Christ is a man. I'm happy to get into the sexuality and
before
gender
incarnation, he's not.
Of the Trinity. Okay.
Before incarnation, there's no penis. There's no XY chromosomes. There's no small gametes.
Hold on a second. Let's think about it. If that's correct, how is it then Jacob saw the face of God?
Okay, so if there's
hold on. If there was not before the incarnation, how did Jacob see the face of God? How did Jacob wrestle with God?
Characters can have faces without biology.
How did Jacob wrestle with God?
So okay, do you think that he has a body?
Well,
or was that a figurative notion of wrestle?
That's a mystery of the scriptures. I'm not here. Well, it is. I'm not here to debate theology. Can we go back to what we're talking about?
Does he actually have biology? You keep trying to pivot because you know this debunks you.
Well,
what biology does your God have?
Well, the one of Christ our Lord.
No, I meant before incarnation.
Well, to be honest, I don't quite know, and I don't think the scriptures are.
So you don't know what a man is?
Well,
you can't define what a man is?
It's a little opaque. Again, you're looking at a man.
But your video, the largest video on TikTok is, what is a woman, 20 million views, but you don't know what a man is under your own worldview?
I said you're looking at a man, right?
Wait, but God the Father doesn't meet that criteria.
Am I looking at a man?
Yes, you are.
Okay, good. Just making sure.
A man that's beating you in a debate right now.
Okay, that's fine. So let me ask you a question, though. So do you think that anybody can become a woman?
I think that anyone who meets my criteria is a woman.
What's your criteria again?
Again, adult human person that has a desire to be in accordance with a particular set of social and cultural norms that are typically associated with the female sex.
Can society ever be wrong?
Sure, but like it's a desire to be in accordance with a set of social and cultural norms.
Can I become black if I wear blackface?
No, because it's not a desire that you have to be in accordance with a particular set of social and cultural norms. What if somebody wants to be black? Because race is defined phenotypically based upon the expression to other people.
But by some standard, you're judging that.
Do you think there's a phenotypical expression of someone who's white and someone who's black? Like, I see you're white because of your phenotypical expression.
Right. So, but do you think, but Rachel Dolezal that said she is black and culturally black, is she black?
Does she have phenotypically characteristics we would associate
Define
with people who are
phenotypical.
black?
I'm not sure what that word means.
Phenotypical, it's going to be the expression
so
of
melanin
a particular
content on skin?
Yes.
Okay. So she could pass as a black person.
Wait, so she doesn't have the melanin content?
She's borderline.
No?
Heavily.
Okay, so then she's not black.
Okay, so you're able to say who is black and not black?
That's how we define it in society, no shit.
Okay, got it. So, but is there an objective definition of who is black?
Wait, language is all subjective. Linguistics professionals indicate it's subjective.
Language is all subjective?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh,
Every
really?
word you just used was created by other human beings that are engaging in conversation.
No,
you might think it's created by God, but even then it's still subjective.
Got it. But now we're getting somewhere.
God's a subject.
Now we're getting somewhere. Is the word and the value behind murder objective or subjective?
Well, I think morality is subjective. But you think it's subjective too because it comes from God.
That's interesting.
Wait, does it come from God or independent of God?
Well, no, of course it comes from God. It's transcendent.
That's subjective. That's subjective. Yes, it is. No. If it comes from God, it's specifically subjective. If it comes independent of God, then it's objective. No, what you just told me is also compatible
morality.
with moral anti-realism.
So let's go back to the Ten Commandments.
You don't understand metaethics.
Well, hold on a second.
What does subjective morality mean? What does it mean?
Subjective morality means that it comes in everybody's own opinion, their own form,
true
not
dependent
objective.
upon a stance.
Again,
God is a stance, and that's the truth of morality.
So if let's believe, do you believe if everybody believed in the concept of God, the transcendent God, that there was a 10 Commandments and we should live by them, right? Is that objective morality?
No. Just because people agree doesn't make it objective.
Then what,
again, independent of a stance.
What is
agreeance is not independent of a stance.
What is objective morality then? Sorry, thanks. We'll be back at it next time.
Mason,
how are you? Nice to meet you. Okay.
So I think it's a little scummy that you're plagiarizing the whole Matt Walsh thing. Like your thing is the worship of Israel and everything like that.
I pay him royalties.
Okay, for sure. Well, do you want to talk about sex first, or do you want to talk about gender?
I don't think gender exists. I think it's a term that John Money and Judith Butler created over the last 40 years that basically is a filler for personalities.
Okay, well, if we're talking about sex, which it seems like you're saying is the exact same thing, would you say sex is binary by definition?
For sure, yes, absolutely.
Okay, so you're already incorrect. Like, sex is not binary, it's bimodal. So if we look at a distribution graph, we're going to see people in two camps majority of the time, but there are going to be externalities on both ends of the spectrum and in the middle.
For example, like
so we already talked about intersex.
Right. However, with intersex, though, they are mutations of a binary, correct?
No, we're talking about.
Hold on, but
we're talking about an entire spectrum.
Which sex
you're by definition
dominant,
defeating your expression of what a binary is by saying that there are externalities.
But let me ask you a question. That like XXY.
Charlie, for example, you're trying to create this own box and then use any examples that are outside of that box
you brought up
to justify that box again.
You brought up intersex.
We're talking about reality.
You brought up intersex.
Okay.
sex organs, which one is more dominant?
What do you mean?
In an XXY situation.
Can you explain your point of view?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you have more female characteristics and male characteristics in an XXY, or it might be YYX, one of the two. The point is that you do not have both.
We could see people with female reproductive organs that have XY, and we can see the vice versa, people with male reproductive organs that have XX.
So I think you said something about gender, though. I think that's more interesting to get into.
Okay.
Do you understand how the conversation?
So we're moving off of sex because you're ceding that argument.
No, I'm not ceding it. Okay. You want to keep going into it?
We can, if you'd like.
Okay, so besides male and female, what categories exist?
We have people that are intersex. We have people that are on the other ends of the bimodal distribution graph. Are you aware what bimodal means versus binary?
Somewhat of an understanding. Yeah.
Okay, well, so you can be presented with a graph after this by the people that you brought with you. But it's actually a bimodal distribution.
Just like constantly going to condescending type talk is not going to be fruitful.
I'm just trying to match your energy with the people that you treated that were trying.
Like constantly going to
graph after this by just binary.
Somewhat of an understanding. Yeah.
Okay, well, so you can be presented with a graph after this by the people that you brought with you. But it's actually a bimodal distribution.
Just like constantly going to condescending type talk is not going to be fruitful.
I'm just trying to match your energy with the people that you treated that were trying to have a conversation.
Got it. So trans women are not women. Do you agree with that?
I would say that trans women are women because people that exist under the category of women, people that exist under the category of men are still humans.
Got it. So that category, how is that defined?
Well, I wouldn't limit it to things like genitals or things like chromosomes, which it seems like you want to do. What type of genitals would you say I have since you're so obsessed with genitals?
I'm not obsessed with genitals, but I could do a blood sampling right now and I could see exactly what you are because every single one of your trillions of cells are either coded with XX or XY, no matter how much surgery or whatever. I think that you are man, but you could fool me. You could take hormones, you could play camouflage. Like I could fool you to be Hispanic if I had the right Hollywood makeup director. That doesn't mean that you are the thing though.
But you're going from an objective biological perspective, which we've already talked about with sex. I'm talking about a social construct or a social utility.
Yeah,
so like if we were at a restaurant, right? I'm sitting down you're a man. And I'm sitting down at the table and you're telling the waiter, hey, I want to go sit with blank. What would you use?
With you?
He doesn't know my name. Yeah.
Well,
so I'm sitting over there.
That guy.
Yeah.
Yes, correct.
That guy. You're going to typically use he or him, or you're going to say that guy, like you just said.
Correct.
Because you're ascribing the male gender to me based on my performative characteristics.
I say I could be an error. Maybe you are a biological woman.
And then you'd correct yourself, right?
That take maybe not.
So that's what that is exactly what we're trying to say.
So the question is that do you think that womanhood can then be assumed just through costume design?
It's not costume design.
What is it then?
It's performative social characteristics.
So you could
act
that's
it. What gender is.
Okay,
great
got
job.
it. So you could, it's like a theater troupe.
It's not a theater troupe. So these are social. These are social
womanhood
categories.
can be appropriated.
No, they're categories. That's what it is.
So there's nothing inherent about the chromosomes. There's nothing that...
Correct, yes.
Wow, we disagree. So there's nothing inherent about having a period or being able to give birth or the specific hormonal makeup.
In different cultures, we've ascribed that to womanhood. If you go back to other cultures spanning thousands of years, you'll see a difference when it comes to those
Like, for example, the Mayans had plenty of people that were schizophrenic, right? So that means nothing to me, right?
Okay, we have people that say they're hearing things from God. Would you say that's schizophrenic?
Well, not necessarily. It built Western civilization and common law and due process and individual rights.
I just wanted to hear that your priority...
Defense of the unborn and the greatest civilization ever. You know, that voice from God happened to build the greatest nation ever to exist in the history of the world. That's
okay.
Fine.
I think the Mayans would say the same thing. That's the problem with presuppositional arguments.
Yeah, let's go down.
Is that you could say anything.
Can we go visit?
I mean, God's telling me right now that you're a fish. Do you think that's real?
Can we go visit the Mayan nation? They didn't last that long, did they?
Yeah, over killing and violence, and you can justify that if you like.
You mean all the child sacrifice?
And this is the condescending tone that why I'm trying to match it is because
you mean all the child sacrifice the Aztecs, Mayans, and Incans did on the top of temples? Great civilization.
Do you want to go back into the Old Testament? Let's bring Parker up in here and talk about all the child marriage, and we can talk about the justification of rape.
Where was child sacrifice ever in the Bible?
When Isaac was almost fucking sacrificed by his dad.
He wasn't though, because at the beginning of Genesis,
so God just said like, nah, just kidding, dog. Don't actually kill your son.
Because at the beginning of Genesis 16 said, I'm going to test
to prove
Abraham.
Obedience.
Yes, yeah, that's right. So now you know it. So actually, there was no child sacrifice in the Bible. It was a prohibition on child sacrifice in the Bible. But anyway, that's a little bit of a rabbit hole. Do you understand at least? Can you sympathize with our perspective?
Okay.
That.
I'll calm it down a little bit. I apologize for the condescension.
No, it's fine. I mean, but you're doing it's fine. But did you see where this could get wildly out of control? At least on the extreme.
I don't see how it would get out of control because
even in sports, for example, you think that there's no.
So this is something that we might be able to agree upon, right? Sports were not archaeologically dug up, right? The rules of sports, they are things that we've created as a society. We have decided as a society the most fair categorization is male sports and female sports. Now, as we've been able to understand, or at least bring into the forefront, people who don't identify with the binary, we still have to allow all people that are women in the women's category and all men that are men in the women's category. That includes cis and trans. If you'd like to change that category because you think it's unfair, we can do that. That's what's awesome about arbitrary rules is we can decide hormones.
I might not know this, but like when the Greeks started the Olympics 2,000 years ago, did they have like a bunch of dudes wrestling with women?
I don't even think they allowed women to compete.
Well,
I might be wrong on that,
but that kind of proves the point, though, that there was
and what did we do to allow women? We changed the rules.
Right, no, but that, by definition, therefore, there is something from body composition, bone mass, lung density, testosterone, and estrogen rates. Your endocrinology is different.
So if you'd say the majority of males in the bimodal distribution graph, we're going back to that, you can say, hey, we want this level of hormones in this particular category, and we can separate it by hormones. I agree with you that a majority of men or majority of cis men are...
You got to be like 99.9%.
I don't know, Ronda Rousey could kick my ass, I will say that.
No, for sure, but I mean, but could she kick Conor McGregor's ass?
Well, now we're talking about the peaks, right?
But she's at the peak of
cisgender.
No, because you're talking about the peaks of two different categories in the same sort of...
Right, because why? She's a cis woman.
Well, she's a cis woman and
he's... a cis man.
But yes, and he could kick her tail, right?
Yes, I would agree.
Oh, okay, for sure, right?
Because cis men and cis women have different hormone levels. If you want to change the hormones, we can change the categorization. But you're saying that you want men and women, bar none, and you say that's the most fair category. Then we have to allow all women and all men.
But again, those things don't... So I just want to be clear. So, because I think I'm tracking your argument, is that in the University of Pennsylvania swim team, when Thomas swam against biological women, you're perfectly fine with that.
I think as long as we have the categories that way.
Thanks.
Good to meet you.
Yeah. I want to get him in. He hasn't debated yet. No, you're fine. You're fine. What's your name?
Hi, my name is Preeti. Nice to meet
Brittany,
you.
nice to meet you. Go ahead.
Preeti.
Preeti,
P-R-E-E-T.
I'm sorry.
You're totally
yeah.
Okay, so I kind of want to go back to a little earlier. You said that Parker has lower T than you. So would you say?
All a joke.
Yeah. No. Right. I'm fully aware it's a joke. But I guess on that point, do you think that T has to do, or testosterone has to do with your manhood?
No. Well, yes and no. I mean, if you are looking at typical testosterone estrogen rates of women, they are far different than those of men. But for example, your testosterone rate goes down when you have children. For example, when you're a man, that doesn't make you less of a man. They go down by about 400 points.
Okay, but when we were talking earlier about sports, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you were saying that the reason why it's unfair for for example, a trans woman who used to be a man to be competing in women's sports, you cited that they have higher testosterone levels.
One of about 50 characteristics. Also lung density. Their men's hearts are bigger. Okay. We have greater bone density, muscle mass.
Okay,
tend to be faster, tend to be stronger.
I understand. But those factors all come from the hormones during the development process, correct?
No, not necessarily. No.
I mean, most of them do.
Well, not all of them. So for example, you could try to pump a young girl's body with testosterone at 8 years old, and you can get them stronger. You cannot necessarily get them on par with a biological male at puberty. You cannot. You could try.
Okay, but
because there's something in the coding of our genetics.
Right. The coding of our genetics, which is often controlled by different I guess parts of our DNA and also the hormones that are produced that affect the effective coding of how
we're more than endocrinology,
produced.
But it's a big part. Because for example, if you just give a kid testosterone, that doesn't even get them close to becoming a male, or estrogen giving them a female.
Okay.
They might get characteristics that are close to that.
Right. Okay.
But it doesn't. For example,
but I mean, there's no perfect image of this is what a female looks like. This is what a male looks like.
But
we all get our periods at different ages. Some of us and also for example, there are many circumstances where womanhood is just not one thing, right? It's a multitude of experiences
for
that
sure.
every single person.
Can you define what womanhood is? That's an interesting question for you.
Well, no, I can't define what womanhood is. And the reason why is because it's something that's an individual experience for every single person, right? My experiences, what I have experienced throughout my life is not going to be the same as another woman who may have grown up in a different environment.
We have disagreement, but not clarity. I say that being a woman or womanhood is an objective thing.
Right, but
it's objective outside of one's own opinions or experiences.
So, but are we at the point where we're discussing where this is not something based on your chromosomes, but something maybe based on a construct?
Well, no, it also can be objectively witnessed in empirical ways, in biological ways, in scientific ways.
Okay, so to clarify, we're still discussing whether womanhood is on chromosomes or not.
If you'd like to discuss that, it's deeper than just chromosomes.
Right. I'm just trying to define exactly.
For example, if we look at SPECT scans or brain scans of men and women, 98% of the time, artificial intelligence can tell you which one is the men and which one is the female.
Okay.
So our different parts of our brains fire. So for men, for example, our amygdalas are not as high working as women. You know what amygdala is? The threat assessment part of your brain.
So obviously, like your birth, so there's a difference between the concept or what
threat assessment. Our amygdalas are not as high working as women. You know what amygdala is? The threat assessment part of your brain.
So obviously, like your birth, so there's a difference between the concept or what sex is, which is a biological aspect, and what gender is, which is a social construct.
I reject gender completely as a different word. It's really personality.
So that's where the debate is.
Yes.
It's the existence of gender.
Gender means personality.
Okay.
I don't doubt that biological men might have feminine
how would you
type
define
characteristics.
race on that point?
How would I define race?
How would you define race?
Well, race is a very difficult topic.
Okay, because I think that it's a really important thing to discuss when it comes to terms of this.
If I draw blood,
is it ethnic lines?
If you have a blood sample of a black individual and a white individual, I can't tell you which one is which. If I have a blood sample of a man and a woman, I can tell you which one is which, just by running very simple elementary blood tests. So, for example, if there was a Hispanic or a white, there is no difference in the genetic coding. There just isn't.
Why is it important that someone's... okay.
My next claim is that Kamala Harris is a DEI candidate. A lot of competition, Mason.
Yeah, exactly.
Good to see you.
Good to see you again.
Can I define what a DEI candidate is?
I think that you're going to say because she's black and she's a woman, she was appointed because Joe Biden promised that, and it's not a testament to her success.
Not only that, but also in her getting the nomination of the Democrat Party, they said repeatedly, we do not want to pass over a black female.
Okay.
So just those two things, but the first one is stronger. You're right. Joe Biden said, I'm going to put on my vice presidency a black female.
Right.
So his criteria was, and that was like Karen Bass and Kamala Harris.
Okay.
So she was not chosen because of her intellect or her accomplishments or because of any of that. It was because she happened to fit a couple boxes. In fact, Amy Klobuchar, the vetting at the time was that Amy Klobuchar would have been a better VP, and Kamala ended up getting it. So it's just a statement of fact that she is there not because of her brilliance or accomplishments, but because of her ethnicity.
So Kamala Harris, first and foremost, there are a lot of criticisms that you can give to her on why she wouldn't be an effective president. It shouldn't be because she's a woman or because she's black. And it seems to be that you're saying that.
No, I just want people to understand and agree she didn't earn this.
She absolutely did. She has a career where she's been not only a DEA.
DEI stands for
one of the biggest.
Didn't earn it, just so we're clear. But like
it stands for diversity, equity, inclusion. I like the meme though.
I know what it is. But do you at least admit and acknowledge that when Joe Biden was searching for a VP, he cared more about skin color and a female than the smartest, best person?
So the whole conversation with this affirmative action with DEI, the whole reason why people bring it in is to make this imaginary scenario that there's a super qualified white man who was overpassed by this unqualified, stupid, idiot person of color, which is such a terrible analogy because it's not true.
His own team
It's absolutely not true.
Mason,
that's not what it is. Joe Biden did not say, I'm going to choose an unqualified person and just because she's black.
His own team
He's
said
saying that I'm going to have two qualified people. If one comes from a different experience, it might be better to have a diversity and have a better perception in forms of government.
He said at the South Carolina debate that I will pick a black woman as my vice president. Secondly, Amy Klobuchar came out.
Is this a random black woman that you plucked off the street? Or is this a qualified DEA general attorney who's had a decorated career leading government positions? But you keep rambling about things that just aren't relevant to what we're talking about.
It is relevant. Amy Klobuchar in vetting came across as the more qualified candidate.
Why?
Because they said Kamala Harris wasn't very smart, wasn't very bright. That's their own vetting documents.
From who?
Joe Biden's own vetting documents.
So why would he go against that?
Because the base of the Democrat Party demands tribal politics and DEI politics over competency.
That's completely inaccurate.
He stated Jim Clyburn said, I will only endorse you in the South Carolina primary if you say that you're going to put a black person, preferably a black female, on your ticket with you. Therefore, you winnow the entire universe down and say, I'm only going to choose from this criteria. And let's just think more broadly. If you're about to have heart surgery, would you rather have a heart surgeon that's good and excellent, knows what he's doing, or someone that is a black female? And being president is more important than being a heart surgeon.
Aren't you on record saying that you'd be terrified if there was a black pilot?
Yeah,
being president is more important than being a heart surgeon.
Yeah, I did say that, but why?
Okay, cool.
What was the full quote?
I personally, I don't know. If you want to expand on that.
Yeah, so this ties into this. United Airlines said that half of all their new hirees are going to be black or women, and that standards and pursuit of excellence is not going to be taken as seriously as diversity. When I'm flying a plane, I want to know my pilot is there because they're a good pilot, not because they fit some DEI box.
Damn it, I wish we could have a better conversation.
I'm sorry, man. Fast, man.
Okay, so let's say that Kamala Harris was the DEI hire as vice president. Do you think she's also a DEI hire as the presidential nominee for the Democratic Party?
Potentially, yeah. I mean, they decided to go to her almost immediately because she is the VP, but also because she fits some criteria boxes. But let me ask you.
You don't think it's because Joe Biden nominated or
No,
said
for sure, that's part of it. Of course it is. But let me ask you, what's her greatest achievement or accomplishment?
Her greatest achievement or accomplishment? I'd say her greatest achievement or accomplishment is completely destroying the Republican Party within like 2 weeks of being nominated. Like in the polls, she's just absolutely...
Huh? Sorry. How are you? Nice to see you. What's your name?
Amanda.
Amanda.
So you believe because Kamala is black and a woman, she was chosen for
It's
vice
not my own
president?
belief. Her own team, Joe Biden said that. He said,
Biden said that?
Yeah, he said, I'm first, because beforehand he said, I'm going to choose a black female for vice president. He didn't say, I'm going to choose the most gifted or the most talented or the most accomplished. He said, I'm going to choose a black female.
Mhm.
And so by definition, that is DEI.
That is not the definition of DEI. By him saying that he was going to choose a black female, that could insinuate that he already had Kamala in mind for the role. No way does that insinuate that she's DEI.
Well, what is DEI then?
DEI would be,
Choosing somebody based on their race?
no, it's giving people of color the opportunity to be welcomed into spaces in which they typically
Like Kamala
aren't
Harris?
able to get
There's
into.
never been a female black vice president.
And why do you think that is?
Well, not why. You just said that's DEI. So
That,
by definition, she's DEI.
okay, so she represents diversity within the government,
Well,
is
no,
what
but
you're
saying
saying.
she got elevated because she was
No.
a black female. Because
If that were the case, I'd be the president right now.
do you
like,
do you think Kamala Harris was chosen because of her intelligence?
her qualifications and her intelligence.
Really? Wow.
If you
What's her
compare a
what's her
speech
greatest
with
accomplishment?
Kamala,
What's her greatest
probably
accomplishment?
being prosecutor within the Northern Californian
Oh, really?
area.
You mean letting out violent criminals and turning San Francisco one of the most murderous, dangerous, arson-filled, homeless-filled slums in the country?
Wow.
That's her greatest accomplishment?
See, I actually went to UC Berkeley, so I lived there. I don't know if you did. I went around the
Berkeley
area.
is a slum.
Berkeley is a slum. Have you stepped into Berkeley?
Yes, I have. You think Oakland and Berkeley?
Have you lived in Berkeley?
Do you
I've lived in Oakland as well.
do you think-
You're basing your
You think the Bay
information.
Area is like a good area in this country?
I'm from Vegas, so I'm not from the Bay. Born and raised in Vegas and went to UC Berkeley. Just graduated this year. What you're saying, literally in no way, shape,
So I
or
just
form
want to be
makes
clear.
sense.
So you think her overseeing San Francisco becoming the laughingstock of the country
San
is her greatest
Francisco is not
accomplishment?
the laughing stock of the country. If anything, that's Florida. No offense, but
Wait, hold on. If that's the case, why are millions of people moving to Florida and millions of people leaving California?
because there are cheaper rates there. People are moving to Las Vegas.
Hold on.
Las Vegas has
hold on
changed as a
second.
whole.
It's cheaper because it's a better run state and we don't give money to
Listen,
illegals,
Northern
and we
California
have
is
better
not
schools and
all.
lower
Northern
crime.
California is not the entirety of California.
Hold on a second, but
there's Southern California, Northern California.
why
you
is
know,
it that
it's
so
a
many
very big
businesses
state.
are leaving San Francisco if she did such a great job lowering crime?
Do you know businesses go where things are cheapest to operate?
Why are they cheaper? Because they're better run states.
Do you realize that California is one of the most populated states within the U.S.? So obviously
So is
costs are going
Texas
to be
and
higher.
California.
Not only that, but land within this state is also very,
Yes.
very, very minimal. So that's
Well, hold on, you have tons of land. You're one of the biggest states
yes,
in
it
the
is
country.
one of the biggest lands. But do you also take into account the population that's here?
Yes,
and due
Florida
to that,
and Texas have a greater combined population than California, and California has more population and more land mass than Florida. Why is it that San Francisco has a declining population and Miami, Tampa, Orlando have an increasing population?
what does this have to do with DEI?
Because she ran San Francisco poorly, and she was chosen as a VP because she was a black
She
woman.
didn't run San Francisco
She was
poorly.
the DA of San Francisco.
So
and then
she's prosecuted.
And then she became the AG of California, where crime went up, homelessness went up, arson went up, kidnapping went
She's
up,
not the
murder went up.
police.
Hold
Isn't
on.
that the job of the
Hold on a
police
second.
to get the criminals and for her?
The attorney general of the state is the top cop of the state.
Yes.
And what did she do to lower crime in California?
She convicted those who were guilty.
Why did crime go up?
Because as the population increases and
Then-
this
got it. So
economy gets
why-
worse, no.
why is
as
Flor-
the
why is
economy gets
Florida's
worse,
crime rate going
people
down?
are becoming more and more desperate, which leads to paths of crime.
Thank you.
Mine will be quick. Mine will be really quick.
Go ahead.
Okay, so real quick, you're saying that the only reason she was elected is because she's black?
Well, first
so
of all,
that trumps her being a district attorney and all the
this is
accomplishments
not
she
my
has?
words. I'm just going on Joe Biden's own words.
Okay.
Joe Biden said, I'm going to preset criteria based on black women, and therefore she met that criteria, and that's why she was selected.
No, why? I think what he was trying to say is, she's just black. She was just calling her black. She's not saying I'm doing. He's not saying.
He made a public
He's not
promise.
saying I'm doing this because she's black. That's not what she said.
He made a public promise before the selection even began and the process began. I will put a black woman on the ticket.
So you're saying her being district attorney doesn't matter. That's not why.
No,
but yet,
I'm saying
Trump
she did an awful
being
job.
a failed businessman and making all the weird comments he's made.
Well, hold on a second.
That doesn't have any
What I'm getting at though is that if she was not a black woman, she never would have been chosen as vice president. Her record was abysmal. She was a terrible attorney general of California. She did poorly. I'll be quick.
I'm so sorry.
She gets the next one.
Yeah.
All right.
Sorry.
All right.
Yeah,
Yes.
I just have to know. Do you think Tim Walz is a DEI
Yes.
candidate? Okay. I just want to see if you're consistent on that.
DEI does not mean black. Tim Walz was only chosen because the Democrat Party is doing so poorly with white men that they tried to find a white man that they could put on the ticket.
But then also,
It's true. Tim Walz is the first white DEI candidate in history.
Okay, in the Democratic primaries, Kamala Harris was
it's true.
performing incredibly
He
well.
agrees.
And she wasn't performing well in the primaries just because she was black. She was performing well in the primaries because during her time as a senator, she spoke incredibly eloquently. I used to watch when
Hold
I
on a
was
second.
little.
How did she do in the Democrat primaries?
She did much better than Amy Klobuchar.
Hold on a second. She didn't even make it to Iowa. She dropped out months ahead of the first primary. She was super unpopular, not well liked. Her campaign fizzled out. So she was
popular
awful.
initially.
Initially, yes. And then the more people learned about her, the more realized she was awful.
Well, it was mostly because progressives are really upset about her being a DA, which can be that's a completely different conversation.
Why aren't progressives upset about that now?
I mean, they are, but
they are. That's news to me.
But
everyone's talking about how great a prosecutor she is.
Progressives are definitely upset about the how the Biden administration has handled the atrocities in Gaza and how there are definitely things that Democrats are upset about. However, that's not the point of this conversation. And
that's correct. That is not the point.
That's not the point. What the point is that a lot of
Aw, thanks, guys. Okay. Hi, how you doing?
Great.
So, you keep saying that Kamala Harris is a DEI candidate, and I feel like my main fallacy with this argument is that competency can't be objectively determined because we all have subjective definitions of what a competent politician is. But my question for you is if Kamala Harris is a DEI candidate, why is she beating Trump in the polls right now?
We'll see what happens in November.
Okay, but she's currently beating Trump in the polls. So either
if the polls are right, I grant you that.
he's incompetent,
or maybe she's a new candidate with a big surge.
She's doing good.
I would caution you being a little this point in the election getting too cocky because we remember what happened with
I'm not
Hillary
getting
Clinton.
cocky. I'm asking you to answer a question. If she is incompetent, how could she beat the president, who you said is an amazing
As of the
president?
timing of this filming, can you name to me how many times she sat down for an interview?
What?
She
No.
refuses to talk to the press, refuses to take questions. She's done not one sit-down interview in nearly 25 days at the filming of this interview, mind you.
I
which
think
don't know
that
when
is
this will be
a
posted.
very weird point to make.
Well,
why would
why
I
is it-
count how many times Kamala Harris
because
has
it's
had
zero,
an interview?
because she refuses to take questions from the press and media. Shouldn't you do that if you're the sitting vice president?
She's.
He actually did 3 last Sunday and 1 today with Meet the Press.
So the
Kirsten
qualification
Welker,
of a good
debating her, though.
president is to take an interview.
If you can't take a single question, but let me ask you this because it's on you. What's her greatest accomplishment as vice president?
As vice president, being the first female all-black president. We've never had that
No.
before.
I got that, but what's her accomplishment that made people's lives better?
I don't know. Vice presidents don't really do much, to be honest.
Can you name one thing she's done that's good?
No, probably not. Thank you. The Inflation Reduction Act.
Oh, really? Did that lower inflation? What's your name?
Brad
Nice to
Brady.
meet
Nice to meet you. I like the idea. 30 seconds on, 30 seconds
Let's do
off. I think the best thing I could say about this is you have your opinion and I can have mine. You believe that Donald Trump was a good president. I maybe don't believe that. You believe that Kamala Harris is a DEI candidate for the position of president. I don't believe that. What I'm getting to is what do you gain from this? If I concede and say that Kamala Harris is a DEI candidate, what do you gain? Because I know what it is. You're baiting us into rage so that you can make money on your TikTok account. You're baiting college students all over the world into arguing with you over these fallacies. You throw a red herring out there, and you're making money from this account while we're sitting here and looking stupid.
First of all, I don't control this account. I'm a guest here. This is Jubilee Media, and they're going to edit it as they see fit. Okay, number one. Number two, it needs to be acknowledged that she didn't earn it. She didn't win a Democrat primary. She dropped out in the Democrat primary in 2020. She's never been likable. She's got there simply because of race, not because of competency, not because she's good at her job. And I think that's wrong and needs to be called out.
You're bringing up qualitative examples. These are all subjective, qualitative examples. Her race, her competency, her dropping out of the election. That's not what you said earlier. I'm talking about the points you've just brought up, multiple qualitative points. And these points can be believed by you and not by me, as you believe in a God and I don't. These are qualitative arguments that you're making against me for this, and I can believe differently than you, and I think we can agree to disagree on this one.
Okay, fine.
Perfect.
Okay. I think it's going to take the entire time.
You're welcome.
30 on, 30 off.
How do you feel about the Senate?
As far as her tie-breaking vote of the Senate?
No. I'm just saying like Senate. Like the Senate is technically DEI in a certain sense for like small states. Like Wyoming gets people in Wyoming get a greater vote than me in California.
Like Rhode Island and Hawaii?
I'm giving you an example. California, I get less of a vote than someone who exists in Wyoming. So we're giving people in Wyoming more say than they necessarily should, given that they're one individual. So why do you believe in DEI as it relates to how our government is set up? But you don't believe in DEI in terms of allowing for people who are black or who are women to be in positions of power that they have not been allowed in, historically speaking.
So is the Electoral College and the Senate based on race?
It's predicated off of diversity, equity, and inclusion.
How is
right?
that?
Like inclusion of country areas, inclusion of rural areas, inclusion of white men like you.
Okay, so you mean like Hawaii?
I'm referencing. You could say smaller states or places that have less people in it. So obviously would be able to have more of a say per individual.
So your argument is that the U.S. Senate is a DEI. I gotta be honest, I've never heard that argument, but I think it's a little silly. But
how is it silly? Argue against it instead of just saying it's silly.
Well, right. So it's silly on its face because first of all, we have on the House of Representatives it's proportional to population.
Oh, but the Senate isn't. So it's DEI.
It's not DEI.
Yes, it is.
Why would you say it's diversity, equity, inclusion? Because Wyoming gets 2 senators. They're their own sovereign state, aren't they?
For country areas, for rural areas, equity for rural areas.
That's not
right, for smaller states.
So let's go back to the Federalist Papers and the Founding Fathers. Why was the Senate composed?
Can you tell me why
this
it's not DEI? Like under your definition, why is it not DEI?
Because it's not based on race. And by the way,
it doesn't have to be based on race.
It's not based on equity and it's not based on inclusion.
Can't you have DEI based upon different characteristics other than race?
Let me finish.
Whether or not you're a woman, whether or not.
Let me finish. Why? It's because we are a collection of states. We are not a federal project. So states' rights usurp federal. Do you know what the 17th Amendment is?
Do you know why the Articles of Confederation failed?
Yes, but what is the 10th Amendment?
Because states had too many rights, had too much power.
What is the 10th
That's why
Amendment?
we specifically adopted the Constitution.
Parker, let me make one point, okay? Which is, how did we used to elect senators?
It'd be population.
No. We used to elect senators based on state legislatures. So the Senate is an extension of the state legislative bodies. That's not DEI, that's federalism. No. That's the way that our system is set up, which is a bottom-up, citizen-led government to allow the states, which are first and foremost sovereign. So it goes in this ladder in this country.
That's still DEI for the states
citizens,
and for those country areas.
No, because it's colorblind. It's not that, we get white
again,
states
DEI
more,
is not only based
states
on
more.
race.
Hold on a second.
Diversity for country, diversity for rural, equity for rural, and inclusion of rural.
No, that's an interesting point. So
you think DEI is only race because
you
associate it with Kamala Harris?
Let me ask you a question. Is there a single instance in corporate America where DEI is implemented where diversity means anything other than skin color?